you've already done that. I just want to be sure it's of record.
It will be admitted for the record.
Yes. And also, I don't think it's part of the record, but it's a public document. We would request that the report and decision of the hearing examiner dated August 2, 2002 be admitted into evidence. I know it's part of the Planning Commission case back in August of 2025. But this is a report and decision. The applicant back then was immediately to my left, Charles Postow. It's file EQHS4 semicolon 006-02. It was case number 613.234, 3.1 acres of land between Oregon and Baum Streets. And it's a planned unit development. And it's specifically for the property we're talking about today, as well as some other properties down on Baum Street and across the street on Oregon Street. And significantly, in that report and decision from 2002, it was the opinion of the hearing examiner that the proposed development, which is the one before you today, is in conformance with the general guidelines set forth in the Cincinnati Hillside Development Guidelines of December 1975, and the specific guidelines outlined in EQHS number 9, Ordinance 2984. And it was in conformance then, it's in conformance now. I guess I'll have each witness qualified, the experts, when we get to them. And and here's where you cut me off, I think. We also went into evidence, I know that it is. We'd like to compliment Mr. Munsell, who's here today in the room, the zoning plan examiner. His staff report dated February 19, 2026 for this case is exceptionally well written, and we embrace it fully. And I think I was editorializing and saying that in all the zoning hearings I've had over the decades, I don't know that I've ever 100% embraced a report, but I just think it's thorough, it's good, it's on point. We have no disputes with it. I just want to highlight a sentence, two sentences, and I quote, "The proposed requires hillside relief for excavation fill and retaining wall height. The other elements, such as density, parking, setbacks, and height, are conforming and/or were approved by the Planning Commission in August of 2025 based on the original PUD approval in 2002. And so I want to be sure that both of those documents are of record. The City Planning Commission's decision of August 2025 is in the record that you've already admitted, and this PUD approval in 2002 should be part of, it was part of that record, and I think it should be part of this record as well. The reason I go through this preliminary thing is to say, we are not here for an area variance, a height variance, or a setback variance, or a use variance. If you look at our application on page 1, the nature of the relief requested, section 4, nature of relief requested says select all that apply. We only put an X in the box called Hillside Overlay District Permission. That's all we're requesting. A letter was submitted by Mr. Vogel, which claims in his first sentence that we are seeking a variance. The first sentence of Mr. Vogel's letter dated March 2nd says, and I quote, "Mr. Sturkey, we submit this letter in opposition to the applicant's request for variances, plural, in the referenced matter." Well, we're not here for variances. We're here for hillside review and hillside development permission, and that's the only matter that's before you today. We're here simply on the application for zoning relief for permission to build this approved project. The final development plan was approved back in August of 2025 in a hillside overlay district. Mr. Tilsley will testify shortly about this 3-story, 3-unit condo on Lot G in the approved 2002 Oregon Baum PUD, and the final development plan unanimously, by the way, approved by the Planning Commission in August 2025. So the letter in opposition submitted by Mr. Vogel is irrelevant, and totally misunderstands the case before you today. He goes at some length to talk about the Corman case that I worked on 20-some years ago, and I would say Corman was actually 2 Court of Appeals decisions. It was not accepted for review by the Ohio Supreme Court. There were numerous hearings in front of zoning hearing examiners back then and the Board of Zoning Appeals. The Corman case was an area variance case. The Duncan factors are area or variance factors. Those are not at issue today. The applicant isn't requesting any variances today at all. The Corman case involves straight zoning. It is not part of the Oregon Baum PUD. The Corman property is on Oregon Street. It's further down toward the Celestial. I forget he said in his letter how far it is. I don't know, a couple hundred feet or something, or 100 feet. That's totally irrelevant. It's in a different zone. It was R6, high density, multifamily zoning. There were 14 conditions put on it. It was litigated for 5 years, up and back. It is totally irrelevant to the case before you today. Our final development plan has been approved. The height, the setback, the design, the number of parking spaces, and Mr. Tilsley will get into that shortly. So we don't believe the Duncan factors are relevant. It's because ours is not an area variance case. Those issues were resolved in 2002 in the PUD. That was confirmed, reaffirmed, and solidified by the Planning Commission in its August 2025 unanimous decision. They referred to the 2002 as a legacy PUD. I'm not going to bore everybody here with how that came about and the zoning map issues and this, that, and the other thing. I think Mr. Sturkey and Mr. Munzel probably understand that better than I do. The Cincinnati Hillside Development Guidelines and practical difficulties can be complied with today, and we will have, there's some overlap, I guess, in some of the standards. So we'll have testimony on that just because it seems to be the interest of people. But I will tell everybody watching virtually and in the room, the plan before you today was approved in 2002. And it was, the final development plan was approved in August of 2025. There are no changes to it. This is just getting into the hillside issues. So therefore, we respectfully request that you adopt and approve the cogent analysis contained in the zoning plan examiner's staff report dated February 19th in its entirety. The 2 issues today that we're now going to turn to are cumulative excavation and fill and retaining wall height. And with that, I would now like to ask Mr. Tilsley to give you a brief overview of the project.
Great, thank you. Again, my name is Greg Tilsley. I'm an architect. Our offices are up in Mount Adams. I've been a registered architect for over 40 years. We've been in Mount Adams for 35 years. We've done numerous projects up there. And we have a lot of experience with hillsides. So we've done a lot of projects on hillsides. We started working with Mr. Postow probably 15 years ago. We did a very successful townhouse project on the east side or west side of Oregon Street called City Side. They're single family townhouses, and they were very well received and character with the neighborhood. When Charlie came to us to talk about this design, we wanted to do something that was of similar quality as the City Side project, which is what we so we originally began with studying the requirements of the PUD decision from 2002. Our direction was to design a building that 100% complied with what was written in that decision. Charlie did not want to ask for any variances and did not want to deviate from that plan at all.
And is that the plan that you're going to talk about today?
That's the plan that we
It's in
did.
conformance with.
Yes, of course, back in 2002, it was just a description. There was no design. So we've took that from a description to a real design. So that's how these things work. So the building consists of, there were height limits, setback limits, all these different conditions, 100% complied. We put together a building design that we presented to a lot of people. It was very well received, and we continued on with our efforts to develop the design. At that point, well, let me, before I go further, I wanted to describe the site to you. So the site had some old houses on it at one time. We don't know when. We don't have a record of when the houses were torn down. We did discover some evidence of some old foundations on the property. My guess, it was probably 40 or 50 years ago when they were torn down, but I can't say for sure.
They were definitely gone by 2000.
Definitely gone by 2000. Yes. So, like every piece of property in Mount Adams, it's on a slope. The street slopes, and in front of our property, it slopes up approximately 8 feet from the highest point to the lowest point, and then it slopes over 20 feet from front to back. Okay, so we've got this three-dimensional hillside that we're dealing with, which we're trying to put a 3-story building on top of, which is part of the requirement for a successful residential project, is that you have to have on-site parking. That is a requirement for being able to sell properties, and I think Kathy can talk to that in a second. So
You say requirement, just to be clear, you mean it's
not it's a marketing requirement.
It's a marketing.
I-
It's not required by the zoning code, is it?
Technically, in the old zoning code, it was. I think this is in the Connected Communities, which was just adopted. They allow for less dense parking requirements. And Wes can kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, if I could interrupt to respond to Mr. Sturkey's question. The report and decision of the hearing examiner from August of 2002 says each home will have 2 to 3 bedrooms and will have 2 garage parking spaces. So it's arguable that it is required by the approved PUD from 2002, which was reaffirmed in 2025. Nevertheless, Greg, go ahead.
It's required for the project.
And Kathy can
so-
explain why from a marketing
Yeah,
perspective.
so our first analysis of the site, and we studied this quite a bit. This was not done without a lot of consideration for the grades and everything on the property. So we wanted to have as little impact on the property as possible. We're not changing the grades around the property. We're leaving those exactly as is. What we're doing is we're kind of inserting ourselves into the hillside. Now, as a factor of building a place where you can park your car, you have to get the car in it, which is access off of Oregon Street. We picked a medium elevation, which is about the midpoint, of the property, which was an elevation of 626. And so we used that as the entry point into our parking garage. Then what we
Greg, let me interrupt you. The plan that you ended up with, would you agree with me that it's a reasonable design and use of the property and avoids cliff-like vertical slopes?
Yeah, there are no cliff-like vertical slopes on this property. So we studied this, and should we move the entrance to the garage up or down or wherever it is, had very, very little impact on the fact that we were gonna need to excavate into that hillside.
And it fits it well into the hillside, in your opinion?
Yeah, it does. Actually, the solution turned out to be quite acceptable. And it's similar to other projects that we've done, where you have a cut into the hillside and then garage on the lower level, then you have a backyard on the next level up.
And does it minimize excavation because of your design?
It does minimize the excavation, correct, for this project. And so with that, we create a parking garage. It's not overly excessively large. Actually, it's a little bit on the smaller side. We're trying to keep in mind that we did not want to expand the footprint of this more than we had to. So we took great care to try and do the right thing with this project. Even to the point where with the excavation, we are making a cut in the excavation, and then we're stepping up to the backyard. We're not making we're making a 2-level cut in order to execute this design. So with that, the project moved forward once we figured out a strategy. We took a look at, we've done a lot of projects. We took a look at the hillside guidelines, which, I have a copy of. We've, dog-eared this thing to death here because we're looking for ways to comply. We want to be sensitive to the neighborhood. We do a lot of work in the neighborhood, so we want to.
Greg, for purposes of a clear record, you were just holding up the 1975 Cincinnati Hillside Development Guidelines.
That's correct.
I'm not going to move that into evidence. Let me try to speed it up a little bit and say, you believe that the plan that you came up with complies fully with the Cincinnati Hillside Development Guidelines pamphlet from 1975?
We do, and this guideline is very all-encompassing. There's a lot of things in it. Most of them, Mr. Sturkey, as you know, are recommendations and guidelines for how to approach the development on the south side. So this is used for the benefit of architects and designers and developers to be able to do responsible developments on that.
And engineers?
And engineers.
Technical engineers?
And I mean, there's a lot that is in regards to, the brows of the hill and all these other type of things that go on. And I don't want to get into great detail about that. But
Well, can I ask you a couple questions? Or do you feel you've adequately described the project? I assume Mr. Munsell and Mr. Sturkey are familiar with it because it was approved in August of 2025.
well, I'd like to touch on a couple of
Go
things
ahead.
here.
And then I have a series of
Yeah.
questions.
We went to the PUD, we went to the Planning Commission, submitted it for their review. As Mr. Koenig had said, they unanimously approved it. We then sent it to the zoning department for hillside review. And it was Wes Munzel of the zoning department wrote us an adjudication letter that stated that we needed relief for 2 things. One, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but one was the exceeding the retaining wall height of 8 feet limit, and the other is exceeding the cut and fill. It's not just cut, it's accumulation, aggregate, cut and fill for a hillside that exceeds 8 feet. Those are very difficult standards to meet in Mount Adams. Maybe on a flat site somewhere you can do it. Mount Adams, virtually every project that we have worked on has needed relief from both of these. The retaining wall will be in the back of the property. We are going to build a pier and lagging wall The maximum height of it is 11 feet 5 inches, but that's only in the one section of the back corner. That's only the last 21 feet of it. The other 40 plus feet of it are under 8 feet. This is really circumstantial because of the topography of the site. The topography of the site was something that was just there before the development began. We are working with it the best we can to accommodate this project. I know there was some comment about what is that going to be built of. We'll have concrete lagging. We're looking at different finishes to put on that now to make it attractive to the buyers of the condo. So it's really almost impossible to see it from the right of way. I imagine you can see it, get a glimpse of it from that little walkway along the edge, heading down towards the bridge, but you can't see it from Oregon Street. So it's virtually invisible to the general public. But we know that these things have to be built with great care and precision, and that's why we hired or engaged Civil Solutions to do the analysis for the site from a geotechnical point of view, as well as the retaining wall. They subsequently did a geotechnical report, which Emily will talk a little bit about. And we've also have an agreement for them to do the structural engineering on it, on the foundations and the wall, both, for the project. What we want is continuity of the engineering between what was done in the report and what is being built. There will be no misinterpretations. They are highly respected, and they do projects all over the city with retaining walls far in excess of what we're asking for. But I just wanted to let you know, we're asking for relief of 3.5 feet. That's it. That's at the maximum height. It's not this grossly tall wall. It's 3.5 feet for the last 20 feet. So I just wanted to make that clear so everybody understands
In your
what we're
experience,
asking for.
in your experience, is 3.5 feet a relatively modest and reasonable retaining wall for a portion of it?
What we're asking for is not without precedent. And we just did a brief review of the two streets, Oregon and Balm Street, and we counted 27 properties that had excavations that exceeded 8 feet, or had retaining walls that exceeded 8 feet tall. I think just anybody walking down Oregon Street can make those observations. It's just needed to build on hillsides. You have to. We understand the necessity for these hearings. It gives the city the opportunity to make sure that the developments are done in a professional, responsible way, that these walls and excavations are done in a professional manner, and that is exactly what we plan on doing.
So in answer to my question about whether or not you believe that it's reasonable and not excessively high to have a 3.5 feet expansion of the retaining wall,
Yeah, no, that is
that's
not
well within
unusual.
the neighborhood
Yeah.
standards.
Yes, yes. We're asking for this relief because it's necessary. Without the relief, we cannot have parking for this project. We did a study, and if we were held to that standard of 8 feet of excavation, we would only be permitted to extend 21 feet into our property. Clearly not enough to build a parking garage. We are not trying to ask for anything extreme or excessive, just necessary. And this is a privilege that other property owners have been granted before. We're not asking for anything out of the exception. We're just asking for relief from this so that we can have the same rights that other property owners have. And so in order to kind of speed things up a little bit, sorry to go on, but I'd like to introduce Emily
Yeah, before we get to Emily, let me ask you some questions, and if you can answer yes. or no. Would you agree with the zoning plans examiner's analysis that the slope and topography of the site require a combination of excavation fill, use of piers and retaining walls to accommodate a reasonable design and use of the property, and that the proposed excavation and retaining wall do not leave cliff-like vertical slopes or excessively high retaining walls? Do you agree with
Yeah,
that?
I agree with his
Okay.
his report here.
Yeah, and then would you agree with the zoning plan examiner's analysis that the proposed building fits into the existing hillside with relatively modest excavation overall?
I would agree with that.
Would you agree with the zoning plan examiner that the design minimizes the excavation and uses piers to help minimize the excavation?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, and then would you agree that your proposal provides for a building footprint without significant excavation or fill at any one location and is designed to minimize excavation?
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
So that's also a comment that the zoning
Yeah.
plan examiner made. And is your proposed structure below the brow of the hill?
It is, yes.
And is it approximately 20 feet below the top of the hill?
Yes.
And are there any public viewing places of the subject property?
No, they're not.
And do you believe that your proposed building respects views from private viewing areas?
Yes, it does.
And so you would agree with the zoning plan examiner that says the proposal does not appear to block the views from public viewing places? Yes.
Yeah, I would agree, yeah.
And I think you've already answered this, but let me ask it again. Do you agree with the zoning plan examiner's analysis that, quote, the proposal substantially conforms to the hillside guidelines as noted in the Cincinnati Hillside Development Guidelines?
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Okay. I think now we can introduce our engineer. Thank you, Greg. There may be more questions.
Okay. Emily Richardson, she's a registered engineer with Civil Solutions. She's worked on many projects on hillsides. We hired Civil Solutions because of their expertise with hillsides. And we had started with first of all, having them consult with us when we started designing the project. And then we had them prepare a geotechnical report, which was part of the record, was submitted with our application. We can talk a little bit about that. And then they subsequently have continued to consult with us as we start to develop.
So let me take over. Emily, will you give your full name and address? And
Yes. My name is Emily Richardson. I work for Civil Solutions. We are located off of Fulton Grove over in Fairmont County, Ohio. I've been working with Civil Solutions for 8 years. I have lots of experience within Mount Adams, Cincinnati.
are you a licensed professional engineer in
professional
Ohio and Kentucky?
Yes.
And tell us a little bit. By the way, Emily, it's true, isn't it, that today's your very first testimony at zoning hearing?
This is my first zoning hearing.
Will you give us a little bit your educational background?
Yeah, I got my bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the University of Kentucky, and I have been working for about 10 years now within the field of geotechnical engineering. And I work for Civil Solutions, which has a long-standing history in the city. We're actually working with the city currently to rewrite some of the hillside regulations. So we have lots of knowledge and experience in doing these exact projects.
And you work closely with Justin
Yes.
Emelong, who's a certified geotechnical engineering?
Yes, Justin Amlung has been my boss and mentor for the last 8 years. So everything I've learned from in the city of Cincinnati has come from him, which has come from people that have 30 plus years of experience within this city and lots of knowledge.
I submit to you Emily Richardson as a qualified expert in geotechnical. Emily, will you prepared a report that's now in the record. It's dated January 5, 2026. Will you walk us through in lay language as best you can what Mr. Tilsley asked you to do on this site and precisely what you did, and more importantly, I think for today's hearing, what recommendations you made, and walk us through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So with any projects like this, we obviously need to start with understanding the specific geotechnical characteristics of the site, which is why we drilled borings as well as dug a test pit on the site to ultimately understand the depth of bedrock. In Mount Adams, we don't want to destabilize any hillsides, so everything needs to be founded in bedrock, and we need to understand the depth to bedrock in order to understand how to properly get there, put everything in place without disturbing anything around it. That is our biggest concern, particularly in Mount Adams, where we have lots of history of hillside instability and landslides. So we dug 3 test borings and a test pit all down to bedrock, got elevations across the site, and then compared that to what the development plans are for the site.
So you were provided with a copy
Yes.
of the development plans from
Yes,
Mr. Tilsley.
Yes, I understood the development plans, the retaining wall, as well as the building structure itself.
And so you were hired, basically engaged to evaluate the existing subsurface conditions and provide recommendations.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right, go ahead. So tell us about soil samples and test borings.
Yeah. So we hit very common depths of fill and residuum on site. The back of the site, we were much closer to bedrock, within 4 feet from the ground surface. At the front of the site, there was more fill because of the previous development on site. So we were down to like 13 and a half at one point, but the main building portion was within 10 foot of bedrock. And actually, with the way that the building's going into the hillside and stepping up, we're going to be within bedrock at the beginning portion of the building, which is going to help make sure it's founded properly, even on like a shallow foundation system, because we're within that bedrock. The retaining wall in the back obviously is a big point for protecting everything upslope of it. So we now understand bedrock depths. We are proposing a top-down construction method. So ultimately, we go in and we drilled structural piers with reinforcement steel I-beams in the middle of them. We drilled those from existing ground surface, so nothing is disturbed. We then go down in very small increments, 1 to 2 foot, and we place lagging within the beams in between them. They're typically spaced at 8 to 6 foot on center, depending on the design that's required. And then we continue down so that we are nothing upslope of that is being disturbed during construction. And so by the time we get to the bottom, everything is stabilized upslope, and long term, it adds stability to the slope. We are basically preventing anything upslope of our wall from moving.
So it's your testimony that if the recommendations that you're making to the developer are followed, and I assure you they will be, it'll actually contribute to better stabilization of the hillside.
Yes, all properties upslope of this wall will be stabilized.
Okay, now you're kind of getting to the conclusions quickly, but talk a little bit about site preparation. You know, the existing conditions, the trees that are there, the foundations that Mr. Tilsley mentioned, all that gets removed. The balls where the trees were gets removed,
Yes.
and new soils are brought in and concrete is used. And talk about how this goes.
Yeah, so in this case, we'll start, it's all going to be top down because of the hillside and not wanting to create any instability. So we'll go in, we'll clear the site, superficial things will be removed. From there, we want to stabilize the hillside. So we'll start with that back wall, start top down, come down. And so it'll be in phases ultimately. That way we're not going to just go into the hillside and create this huge unstable excavation. Everything's going to have to be temporarily shored or permanently shored with like the retaining wall we're discussing in order to even get down to the grades we're discussing to put the concrete and everything in it. There isn't much fill. It's mostly cut because we're building into the hillside.
And Civil Solutions will be present during the site preparation to evaluate.
So in addition to designing the retaining wall as well as the building foundations and any subsurface walls, so basically anything that's gonna have dirt on the back of it, we will be designing. The structure above will be designed by just the structural, but all retaining walls, anything in the ground, anything that's going to affect the stability of the hillside, the soils, that will be designed by us. And on top of that, we will be in the field during construction, verifying that everything is in place and built exactly how our design is stated. If any weird things, sometimes you'll hit an old foundation, things like that. We experience that all the time. And because we're on site, we're able to quickly come up with solutions and make sure everything is safe and built properly.
So any soft and yielding soils, go ahead.
On that, Ms. Richardson, so will someone from Civil Solutions be present on site every time or at all times during the earthwork or
Yes.
drilling?
Yes.
Okay.
You can make that.
Those are
that
continuous. Those are continuous inspections.
Just to add to that, as part of the building permit, they have a requirement for what they call special inspections. And so we will be complying with all those requirements for special inspections, which includes excavation, concrete. We'll actually test the concrete to make sure that it has the right strength, checking the rebar sizes, all of those things. So that's a requirement for the building permit, as well as satisfying the structural engineering requirements it only has.
Go ahead, Emily. You want to talk about structural fit?
Well, this actually won't. Any fill that is necessary due to like an over excavation or anything, that'll be tested to make sure that it's the proper material that needs to go into place, as well as compaction tested. So it needs to be placed in 6 to 8 inch lifts and compacted properly. So we observe that, as well as test the actual density of that material and the moisture content to make sure that any fill that's put into place is properly put into place. And again, with the excavations, we will be designing any type of temporary earth retention that's needed to safely excavate, as well as the permanent retention of the retaining wall. We will be on site inspecting that, as well as designing it, to ensure the ultimate thing that we care about is ensuring the safety of the site, as well as ensuring hillside stability for all. We don't want to negatively affect any adjacent property.
And do you believe that the proposals and recommendations you've made to Aspen Properties would negatively impact some properties or contribute to supporting them?
What I've recommended is will only support and bolster the hillside.
Okay, Emily, a couple questions, unless Sturkey, you have any? You heard Mr. Tilsley testify to this. The work that you're recommending be done, would it leave any cliff-like vertical slopes?
No, it will not.
Would it leave any excessively high retaining walls?
No, it will not.
Do you believe that the design that you've reviewed, that Mr. Tilsley prepared, is a reasonable design and use of the property?
Yes.
Do you believe the proposed excavation and retaining wall do not leave excessively high retaining walls?
Yes, it does
I've
not.
already asked that, yeah. I believe you may have hit this too. Do you believe the proposed building fits into the existing hillside with relatively modest excavation, if any?
Yes.
And the building footprint does not have significant excavation or fill at any one location. It is designed to minimize excavation.
Yes.
And the proposed structure is below the brow of the hill.
Yes.
And you believe that the proposal substantially conforms to the Cincinnati Hillside Development guidelines report that was discussed earlier.
Yes.
I don't have any further questions.
I do have one question based on your questions. Ms. Richardson, how would you define an excessively high retaining wall? And how would that definition differ from what's happening here?
So an excessively high retaining wall would be one that typically in my field is one that I can't cantilever. So one that requires like a tieback system. It's too tall to support itself just based on the passive resistance we get within the piers themselves below grade. So we typically reach that around 15 feet where we then need to install tiebacks through the face of the wall. There's actually lots of those in Mount Adams, unfortunately. That is what I consider. Anything below 15 feet is very minor. And as we stated before, it's only 20 feet. It's at the corner of the lot. You won't see it. The building goes up to the corner of it. It's right here. And it's just because the grade is the highest. The grade kind of slopes down this
You're talking
way.
about the northwest corner? Is that right, Greg? Yeah.
Well, technically,
All right, go ahead.
plan northwest.
Plan north, yeah.
The actual north goes down. It's opposite, but
Yeah.
yes.
But you're talking about your north corner meets the west,
Yes, yes.
and it's only for how many feet?
It's only 20 feet.
Out of how many? How long's the retaining wall?
What was it, around 50-ish feet? I don't remember the exact length.
You know?
So, I'm sorry, pardon?
The total length of the wall.
It's about 60 feet long.
So it's less than a third of the length.
Yeah. So just to clarify for the directionality of things here, that is the northeast corner. We have a diagram here. So what we've done for simplicity's sake is say that, north is up, right? So that corner to the right, or to the northeast top, right there. That's the highest point of the site.
It's that perpendicular section that's coming off the building and then just slightly, you can see how how quickly it's grading down. So the top of the wall is just whatever existing grade is to maintain that so that we don't disturb what existing grade
Right.
is above the wall.
Thanks. I don't think I have any more questions for Ms. Richardson. Thank you.
Okay, now, Kathy Commissar, will you please briefly introduce yourself to the zoning hearing examiner, Mr. Sturkey?
My name is Kathy Commissar. I'm a realtor with Comey and Shepherd Realtors. I've been a realtor for 25 years. My office is in 6901 Wooster Pike in Marymount, but I'm licensed in Ohio and Kentucky. Most of my work that I have done has been in the urban market, probably the high-end urban market. So even though my office is there, I live in the urban corridor myself in Covington. And so I'm very familiar with this area, basically because in 1990, one of my first properties that I sold in an urban high-end market was on Baum Street. And since then, I think I've sold 40 plus different properties on Baum, Oregon, Mount Adams. I've also sold a lot in Covington and Newport in their high-end market there too. So this is really kind of my forte, my expertise, I would say. At the time I sold the condo on Baum, I also saw a plan for the neighborhood that showed different properties on Oregon and Baum, and I understood at that time that this was going to be a new area for Mount Adams that was closer to the city, walkable, closer to expressways or shopping or parks, whatever they wanted to do, but which was a complement to the other part of Mount Adams, which was on top of the hill. So I actually, over time, made it kind of my project. I sold most of the properties at Cityside, Palisades, other properties on Baum and Oregon.
And the Palisades is essentially across the street from
across the
this
street.
project. You were the realtor of record for that, sold a number of properties and resales.
And resales, yeah. And Cityside, we sold all of those properties before they were even built. So I'm quite aware and in tune with what you have to do for marketing in these areas. But over time, when I saw this project, and I've been involved with different things up there, we were talking about townhouses, and I kind of pointed out that, or I did point out that the largest growing demographic population in the United States is over 60. And those people want to be in the urban market. They want to downsize, but they don't also need a 4-story townhouse.
So do you believe that proposed projects in harmony with adjacent properties and the demographic trends in the United States?
I would say it's in complete harmony with it, and it's actually an addition to the townhouses and other properties we have, not only in the need, but also in the design, because the design is also a complement to all the other properties that Mr. Pascal has designed and Greg has designed.
Based on your extensive experience in Mount Adam properties, do you believe this fits into the hillside nicely?
I think it's a great compliment because, again, it's not a townhouse. It's not this. It's its own unique property that's complement to all of them.
And you're familiar with retaining walls in Mount Adams. Do you think this one is excessively high, asking for 3.5 feet?
Well, the wall itself is not visible. So in my
When you say it's not visible, you mean from the
from the
street?
street, it will be visible from the side. And I want to point out something about this property too. I'm kind of going in different directions, but this is a unique property that this is the reason it's so special, is because it has one floor. There are views on all 4 sides. There is no other property that I can think of that has that, because there are other 1-floor units and different things, palisades, whatever. But to have a unique, each floor is it's one unit and has windows on each side. So you will be able to see it from the one side of what you're inside your unit, inside your home.
Right.
But from the outside, that would not be a big wall like we've seen
Do
elsewhere.
you believe this project respects the views of its neighbors?
I would think it would really be the best case scenario there would be for a property there.
All right, and well, I don't think you need to testify about the excavation. I don't have any further questions. Kathy, is there anything else you'd like to say? Oh, let's talk about parking for a minute. Because we have to partially excavate, and the original plan required 2 parking spaces. Will you explain why you need 7 parking spots in this 3-unit building?
Right. So even though each floor is its own home, the cost of building this building and building it that way are extremely high. So to sell these properties at the level of finish that we would do, the level of customization, and to somebody that wants to downsize, they're going to be well over $2 million. And at well over $2 million, this is a viable price point from other things that I can show you for comps, but there would be no sale there if you didn't have parking. If people had to park on the street.
So you need 2 parking spots per
You
unit.
have to have 2 parking
At
spots.
this price point, what you're saying is well over 2 million per unit.
It will be at well over 2 million.
So these will be 3 of the nicest 3 of the nice flats or condominium units in Greater Cincinnati when it's completed.
I think it will really be something unique that nobody else has right now. 1 floor on each one. I don't know where that exists.
No further. Go ahead.
Kathy, I'm sorry, your last name is,
Commissar, C-O-M-I-S-A-R.
sorry, Ms. Commissar, is it your testimony that parking is necessary for this development at this price point or because of this price point? Or that parking is necessary at this property to make it economically viable at all for any project?
I think it's the
I'm
latter.
confused by the questions.
And let me try to help.
Parts of all of it, but
Kathy, your prior testimony, were you trying to say that in order to make this project economically viable for the developer, you need at least 2 parking spots, or you need 2 parking spots per unit.
I would agree with that.
I'm sorry, let me try and ask it a different way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could an economically viable project be developed on this property without parking?
I don't think there would be buyers for that project.
Thank you.
I think she said no.
That's no.
That's no,
That's a no.
I took that as a.
It would not be economically viable to build this project without 2 parking spots per unit.
I'm very, I live in an urban area and some people don't have garages. And the value of their property is quite different. So people are not willing to pay the premium of $2 million or more without parking. And I don't think we could build the project in a way that didn't have parking. Is that answering the question?
I can answer that question as
Wait,
well.
let me, thank you, Ms. Commissar. Our next and final witness is the applicant, is the owner of the properties, Charles Shea Postow.
I'll answer that question. Without 2 parking spots per unit, this project will not go forward. It's not viable. There's no off-street parking. Parking for two parking spots per unit is a must. Plain and simple. It won't go forward without it.
Mr. Postow, let me ask you this. How long have you been involved in this property, Lot G, Building G?
It's 2002.
And were you the applicant of the PUD that was approved in
Yes, I was.
2002? And is this project that we're presenting today for the umpteenth time in substantial conformance to that?
Yes, it was.
And you were present with me and Mr. Tilsley, Ms. Commissar, at the hearing in front of the Planning Commission of City of Cincinnati in August of 2025, weren't you?
Yes,
And is this plan identical to that plan that we presented?
yes,
And was approved? So you already have an approved final development plan with 7 parking spaces and all of the things.
yes,
And do you believe this proposed project is in harmony with adjacent buildings
yes,
and the hillside environment?
yes,
Have you done most of the high-end development in the last 25 years on Oregon Street?
Yes.
Did you develop the Palisades?
yes,
Did you develop Cityside?
yes,
Did you develop 9 townhomes that sold for roughly $2 million each on the across the street from this development on
Yes.
Oregon Street? Did you develop the buildings on Baum Street, the 4 or 5 story condominium?
I did the four-unit building on Baum Street.
And do you believe the retaining walls that you're requesting today are excessively high?
No.
Do you believe that your building fits nicely into the hillside?
Absolutely.
Did your building alter the hillside?
No.
Is this, do you, you heard Mr. Tilsley, Ms. Commissar, and Ms. Richardson testify today, didn't you?
Yes,
Do you agree with, do you have any dispute with anything they said?
no,
Do you believe that your building will respect the views of your uphill and side neighbors?
absolutely.
There are no public viewing places of this building, is there?
No.
Are you familiar with that 1975 document, the Cincinnati Hillside Development Guidelines that was incorporated into the approved PUD in 2002? Do you believe your building substantially conforms to that development guideline pamphlet? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No.
We have no further questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Koenig. I think, I don't have any other questions for any of your witnesses at this time. I appreciate everyone's testimony here today. I think we will move on public comment at this time. And I think I'll start with the folks in the room. So, going from my right to left here, what would you like to begin? Yeah, please approach, have a seat at the table here. And whenever you're ready. Floor to it.
Certainly, listening to Mr. Koenig's initial presentation and then the rest of this presentation here reminds me of what my former law partner said to me decades ago when I was a young lawyer, which is, if you have the law, argue the law. If you don't, seek to confuse and distract. And that's what we have here. I want to present, I have to ask this question because it's a jurisdictional question for you. The letter that you've talked about from the city requires an application for variances to two provisions in the municipal code. Are you telling the zoning hearing examiner that you are not required to get variances per that letter?
We are not requesting any kind of variances. We are requesting permission to develop in a hillside overlay district. That's all we're requesting.
Yes, then you cannot build this property because you are excavating 22 feet cumulative with a retaining wall. That is in violation of the restrictions under section 1433.
I don't know that it's proper for an attorney to try to cross-examine.
I'm not cross-examining.
We believe the law and the facts are on our side. Whatever he wants to say.
Well, Mr. Strickey, I need to present to you that for the record, we will contest any decision that suggests that they can go forward with the presentation that they've had today, because they are under requirement to seek a variance in order to implement this project. As a position of the city of Cincinnati, they are entitled to contest it and to show that they are entitled to a variance. They have not done that. The only matters in this record on that application explaining all of this is Mr. Tilsey's letter. And that the position that this applicant is presenting is everybody else in this area has gotten away with these things, and it's unfair that we don't. That is not grounds under the law to authorize this variance. The Corman and Duncan decisions have, and the statute, section 1445, has requirements to be met in order to justify the grant of that. We don't have anything in this presentation that suggests that that's required. Mr. Tilsey's letter, again, which is the record here, is that everybody else has gotten away with this. What they don't disclose is that most of the properties identified in Mr. Tilsey's letter, and you can review back to the numbers, are all on the secret planned development district that Mr. Pasto has developed. There's no evidence that any of those properties, there's no evidence today that any of those properties cited in the letter, that everybody else has gotten away with this, were subject to variance requirements are here. There's no evidence of that at all. Now, Mr. Pasto and Mr. Tilsey will certainly know how many variance applications did you file with respect to the properties, those townhouses, for example, on your PD. So that's my point. There's no evidence. I'm just trying to restrict this to matters of law. And the standards that are required are those presented in the municipal code, and as those have been guided by governing precedent in this state. The Supreme Court's decision in Duncan versus City of Middlefield, as it was enforced in this district by the first district and guarding this same street. Now, the aspect that I wanted to close with is the aspect of the economic position of this applicant. The standards under the code and under governing precedent are not that you get to build whatever you choose to build for commercial reasons. There's no evidence that they could not get an economic benefit out of this property without excavating an underground garage. The city itself, in connected communities, has made a policy decision that parking is not required. There is no parking required with respect to this development. These are all self-created design choices of this applicant. And it is not sufficient simply for this applicant, supported by his realtor who has an economic interest in selling these properties, to say we have to have 7 parking spots in an underground garage. How about no garage? Or how about just a pier garage that's not enclosed? You don't like that, I would suspect, but that doesn't mean that you're not getting an economic benefit. But this property has been vacant for 24 years, that it's been with Mr. Prosto. Everything that we talked about, and you will recall the hearing before the Planning Commission, there was no discussion about what a particular building would be on this particular lot. This has not gone to any adjudicating or regulatory review about that it's been approved to approve 7 parking spots. So our position about this is, again, we reflect the law. There's a requirement here. They have the burden of proof, which they've ignored. It's not that they have attempted and failed. They have ignored any evidence with respect to satisfying their burden here. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, this is a self-created design choice. You fall at the basic hurdle of 1445. The hillside is not a self-created design flaw. The hillside is what this ordinance is intended to preserve and protect. So they have a self-created design choice that requires them to come in and get a variance. There are 2 requirements here from the city. They are variances. So I don't understand what you're asking Mr. Sturkey to do, but I would say that the letter is clear. The city has taken a position that variances are required. They've submitted an application, a supporting application. And because they don't have the law, we're going to ignore the law. So I tender that in that respect.
So just to be clear, you do recognize that the hillside development standards and the code do allow for hillside permission to exceed certain standards, right?
By variance, yes, sir.
And you don't believe that they have met those standards based on the testimony that you've heard here today?
There's nothing in Mr. Tilsley's letter that reflects this. And the letter, I would suggest to you, is misleading intentionally. All of these other properties are being suggested for the proposition that they also have the same requirements and were permitted to do this in exception to the section 1433. That is clearly the implication of what these statements are, that we walked the streets today. All of that for you is to suggest all we're doing is what the rest of them have done. There's no evidence of that. And we don't even have variance requests, I think, to any of these properties on this particular PD, because variances under the hillside overlay requirements are still required with respect to planned development districts. That is the law of the city. So I don't understand this, what the zoning hearing examiner is doing today. It cannot be to grant variances. You could ask the zoning hearing examiner to review your compliance with the hillside standards. And then, but if the decision of that is that, no, you are required to get variances, then you would have to proceed for a variance request. So if today is asking Mr. Sturkey to review, we do not have the evidence in the record to allow him to make a complete adjudication on that point about compliance. The city has already reviewed this, planning and building and permits department, and have issued the letter. You require a variance. That is the city's position. There's nothing more to be decided on that.
So I'm gonna pull up here just for reference. I'm just sort of looking at the bold here. This is the staff report. Hillside development standards in 1433-23. Is it your testimony today then that they do not need to comply with these standards?
No, that is my understanding of what council's argument is.
That they don't need to comply with standards in 1433-23?
No, they do.
Right.
But that's why I'm saying they needed a variance, because not all of those are in compliance with this report or this plan.
So which one of these do you believe that the?
Well, certainly it's the cumulative cut and fill. We disagree with Mr. Munzel's position on that.
Well, so Yeah, there's the base development requirements. And then
Well, I'm having some difficulty reading that off the screen,
I
so.
apologize.
What page is this? I have Mr. Manzil's report here.
But I mean, these are on the standard.
Avoid cuts in the hillside that would leave cliff-like features. We don't know. I would ask the, Elizabeth, what is the height of that rear retaining wall at its maximum point from grade to the top of the wall?
Emily,
Emily, I'm sorry,
11.5 feet.
11.5 feet. That's the wall 3 feet above what the limit is. That doesn't include the excavation to,
Can I make one comment? From a geotechnical standpoint, the excavation and the wall that's going to be put in place and we're replacing really poor soil that's already there, that's adding weight to the anything downslope of it. So that could cause future instability to everything upslope of it as well as downslope of it. We're removing poor material and replacing it with properly engineered piers and retaining walls that can support, and it's going to help the hillside. We are helping not only the properties upslope of it, but downslope of it. We're removing poor material from a hillside that is loading that hillside currently and could cause a landslide. So all of these requirements are to ensure that we are not destabilizing hillsides and we are building properly and meeting acceptable standards, which is, some of these, the exact limits on them is why we're actually working with the city to rewrite things, because it's more about doing it properly and helping the hillsides, making sure they're stable. And I mean, that's what this is doing. You're helping the hillside, you're not hurting it.
I will concede your engineering testimony on that part, but the law does not say that. It says you cannot excavate. It doesn't say you can't excavate unless you get an opinion of a licensed geotech engineer that what we're doing to protect from what we've done will be satisfactory. It says no. Duncan, Corman, these are governing precedents, sir. And Corman is a case that council had the privilege of arguing and winning at the level on the first iteration, which then required it to go back to the trial court to look at the standards. That was all looked at and then carried on. And I don't think then the result was exactly what you wanted after that full review. And that's all we're asking, is for this to be reviewed under applicable law and precedent.
And I think that I understand your legal argument here, Mr. Vogel, and I guess what I'm getting at is if you or the Mount Adams Civic Association has an opinion as to whether or not this project complies with the standards on page 8.
Well, we say it does not, because the evidence in the record, and this is why we are here, that this application comes in and says everybody else is getting away with it. There is no other evidence in support of the application about why these variances should be granted. It's simply Mr. Tilsley's letter is the only narrative statement in support of the application. You have a record here.
But the testimony we've heard here today is a part of the record. And
But it's just simple testimony without any examination on all of that. If you go back to the point we want to make, we do not oppose the building. Beautiful 3-story condo building. They want to excavate in order to make an underground garage for 7 cars. Is that required? No. They could achieve erecting this very building without that level of an excavated parking garage. That's the point. And that's the point, and that would defeat under the law the granting of these variances. So that's our point about this. These are self-designed commercial decisions to achieve a very high-priced property. Those are not grounds for the grants of variances to achieve that.
I'd like to clarify one thing that you stated.
Oh, hold on, Charlie.
So I did let us get a little outside of our normal procedure here, but I'm going to try to rein it back in. You all will have an opportunity to respond in depth to any of the comments you hear from the public. So I'm just gonna ask you all to just hold your comments until that time, and then I'll give you ample opportunity for rebuttal. Mr. Vogel, is there anything else you want to tell me? Any other comments?
We've made our point. My letter is in the record, supplemented by what I've just discussed with you, and particularly in response to the presentation that was made to you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time and testimony. All right, moving along. Again, just moving, may not have names correct here, but the gentleman, Mr. Vogel, did you add anything?
Yes, sir, if I may, and I'll be very brief. My name is Kurt, K-U-R-T, Meyer, M-E-I-E-R.
Mr. Meyer, could you come forward?
Yes, sir,
Would you mind?
certainly. I live at, excuse me, I live at 380 Baum Street within a 2-minute walk from my building. I agree with what Realtor Commissar has said, and that this is a very exclusive neighborhood. Properties are very valuable in this area. We've all had to pay the price to get there. And I think that's even more justification for mandating that the applicant follow the legal requirements of the application so that we are protected. Without that, we are being vulnerable to precedent in this case, and that will impact on our building values as time goes down the line. There are other areas up there in that particular area that are probably going to have development happen. And we think that the law should be followed as it is written, certainly under section 1433.22. And with that, I thank you very kindly.
Thank you. Appreciate your time and your testimony here today. Sir, is it Thomas Gaither? Is that
Yeah, SGC RE Holdings 909 Riverview. I don't have anything, I don't have anything to add. I guess the clarification I would like is around the definition of modest excavation. That was very unclear. Ms. Commissar did not answer the question on whether or not the views would be obstructed, or the views would be disturbed. I can say that they will be. I understand that this has already been approved. The building's already been approved, but that was not addressed. And then just to go on record as saying we're very concerned about the fragility of the hill, and that we want to make sure that if this is approved, that all assurances are in place that the retaining wall will be built properly. The term acceptable standards was used. I want to make sure that above and beyond is applied to this if this is approved.
your time and your testimony here today? Can you make note of those questions and concerns? Okay.
Yes.
We'll wait for a rebuttal then on that as well. I think we did have a gentleman join us late. Sir, would you like to add anything to this conversation here today?
I'm Jack Wiseau. I live on Riverview Place.
You have to be sworn in.
Right.
Oh,
Come on up.
okay, I don't mind.
No, come on up. Have a seat. Could you give me your name again, please?
Jack, Louiso. It's Italian it's a French name with Italian spelling.
Louiso.
ISO. Louis with an O.
Okay, got it.
I know this gentleman. He's done a great job for us when we were up.
Referring to Mr. Postal.
So now
Sorry.
I'll need to swear you in before your testimony. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
I'm one of the oldest residents up on Mount Adams. I've lived up there 60 years, and I know this young lady's family. I know all of you all. But here's what's going on with me, because when I heard all this going on, you did a great job of settling with us back about not building too high behind us. You've done that. What scares me the most is that, does this piece of property make a statement for what can go on up the street, which is right behind all of us on Riverview Place? And that's not your problem, but I don't know what to do because I am 90 years old. And, you know, I'm just going along and I want to make sure that property line cannot go up more than 2 stories. Because you build one across, so there's 3 stories. And I'm the old school gentlemen and ladies, is that when we all grew up on Mount Adams, nothing was built more than 2 stories. That was the agreement between the families. It's a family town. Now you're doing a business thing, but I have all this stuff that you agreed to. How do I get this to you all to make sure that this agreement is still taking care of the property and the rest of the property on Oregon behind me? Because you're right, you're the one property, and we go all the rest of the way up. So, that's my concern. You're talking about that hill. I've lived there for 60 years and it's not slipping. And behind my house, if you looked at it, I guess you guys have, behind that, there are 2 retaining walls. They were there with the other houses that used to be the single family houses. So I just want to make sure that, where do I go to give you these copies of what was agreed to, Mr. Pastel, 20-some years ago? That gets passed on, that I don't have to go through. I'm a school teacher. That's where my home is. A performing arts school. I started up the street. I'm the person who started the school for, that's what I do for the city, but I don't want to have to fight with anybody. I'm 90. You know, and so I just wanted, he did the right thing. He agreed to keeping the stuff. I like the design on the piece that you're doing there, but it's a business. I'm getting old. I don't want to go into business with anybody, but what do you do to protect the rest of that property that's going up there that he owns? Because it would, what do you do? Can you help an old man?
Yeah, Mr. Loizo, the building in front of your property is called Building E.
Yep.
Building E in the PUD has certain height,
Yeah, I have that in this piece of paper.
and all the handwritten notes that we agreed to are attached as part of the PUD decision. So it's all there.
Well, where do they go? I mean, these are the 2 people who are the business end of it, but do you have it? I mean, what happens if, God forbid, I'll only be for a couple more years, you know, I'm 90. And, you know, I just redid the Emory Theater. The kids can come into the city. So I'm very involved in what you guys are talking about. The beauty, what he's done before was really great. He understands the hill. I don't like the piece on the other, no, it's west side, the 3 stories. That really pissed me off because it's supposed to be 2 stories. That's what Mount Adams is. I know the legal, this gentleman, thank you very much. We're really concerned our hill is not slipping. The property behind mine goes for, is it 5 or 6 houses? And he understands that. Nothing is slipped on mine. And I live up on, yeah, yeah, okay. What do you do with that kind of piece of paper? Just say he has it and I have it. But what if he sells it? What if I drop dead? I mean, where is this record?
I'm not sure exactly what document you're referring to.
I'm gonna give you each a copy and then I'll stop
When
BSing.
we do that, I'll those for the record, unless there's objection for Mr. Koenig.
My wife.
Take a look at it. I believe he's referring to the
Listen.
report and decision from the August 2002 ED that was approved. There were some handwritten notes.
Oh, yeah.
Referred to. So it's a public record already, and I gave you the case number and the file number earlier today in the hearing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just old. My wife passed away 3 years ago and she said, take care of things. I don't want to take care of things. I'm done with that.
You have our condolences. Hang in there.
I'm hanging as long as I can. Okay, so that's a copy of it. They have it all there. It's all there. It's a record. And my children will inherit that property. And we are hill people. I've been up there at least 60 years.
I appreciate that. I appreciate.
Well, I
your time.
appreciate what you all are doing, but it's just like insecurity is hard when you get old. So I gave you a copy, of it. They have a copy. Of it. I don't want to take any more of your time, but if you have kids, make sure you go see Children's Theater, our new theater downtown. Have you seen it? It's gorgeous.
The original.
Since you're in the building business, we took over the Embry.
Where?
It's been restored. I'm sure you'll be aware. You walk in and you're in, not that boring. You walk in and you're in 1911. It's totally the same, except for one thing. The stage is done by Cirque du Soleil. So here's this gorgeous old thing, and on the stage, it's just now. We're just closed, ladies and gentlemen, the number one theater in the United States of America. And we are now the number one theater in the United States.
So thank you again. So we
You don't have to thank me.
testimony here.
Just keep doing what you're doing. You
We'll do our
know,
best. Thank you. We do have to move on. We have other folks that would like to participate in the hearing
other
today.
buildings to build and other people take up your time. So thank you very much. If you want to come see the theater, I can get your tickets. Okay.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to attempt to reach out to some of the folks that are here with us virtually. We have the Shrivers, Mr. Kendall, and Ms. Green. If any of you are still with us, now is the time, if you would like to provide any testimony. So I hope each of you to unmute. And if you're with us, please unmute, activate your camera if you would like to provide that testimony now.
One.
We'll start here with the Shrivers. Did you want to add any testimony here today?
I just want to interpose an objection. I thought they had to be in the room or registered at least 2 days ago. So if the testimony is not in accordance with your rules, we object to it, but I'm sure let it go ahead.
We'll note that for the record. I've
Thank you.
reviewed that it is in compliance with the rules, and generally I tend to try to let testimony.
I understand that.
Strict neighboring property owners from participating, but that will be noted for the record. Mr. Shriver, let me confirm, did you want to provide any testimony here today?
You can take this in the form of testimony. It's not really, by the way, we did register more.
Mr. Shriver, before you make any statements, can you confirm that you and your wife were both sworn in earlier?
Cheryl.
Yes,
Cheryl?
that's right. Yeah, we would just like to have the benefit of a view of what the project's actually going to look like. A drawing from various angles, from front, back, left, right, whatever. And we'd like to see that. I've never seen it, and if it exists, I'd like to know how to get a hold of it. We would like to get a hold of it, just so that we know what we're going to be looking at.
Sure. So I can certainly send you the application materials after this hearing. Let me attempt, and this may be in vain, but let me attempt to share a screen here. Can you all see that on Zoom?
Yes, I see that.
This is, I apologize, folks. I'm looking at page 4 of the staff report. There's a 3D rendering that was included. And so this is the rendering from one angle of the project. Let's see if there's anything else in the staff report that was in. And
Page 4
page 4.
is the 3D rendering. That's the best one you're going to get unless they go to our application filed January 20th.
What you showed, the picture of the actual building proposal would be fine. If we could get a copy of that.
I'm sorry, could you say that again, Mr. Schraber?
Yes.
Yeah, the building, the first picture that you showed of the, or the video that you showed of the building, the structure itself would be fine. That one.
All right, great. Did you want to provide any other commentary here today?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna stop share. Okay, we'll move to Elizabeth Green, and it looks like there is another gentleman in the room as well. So would you all like to provide testimony?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Mr. Kendall, would you like to provide any testimony?
Yes, just a brief comment, and I do consider myself sworn in. My name's Chris Kenda. I live at 1129 Belvedere in Mount Adams. I am an officer on the Mount Adams Community Council. I serve on the development committee with Steve Vogel and fully support all the comments he made and the admonition and stressing of following the letter of the law. And those are my only comments.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Kendall. Appreciate your time, your testimony here today. All right, we're going to move back into the room. I'm going to give the zoning plans examiner, Mr. Mansell, an opportunity to provide testimony in addition to the staff report. Please prepare if you would like at this time.
Good morning. I don't have any clarifications or comments about what was said as far as the actual information that I reviewed. But somebody has some questions I can answer.
Okay. All right. Hearing that, I think we and well, Mr. Koenig, you are entitled to cross-examination of anyone who has testified at this hearing.
I don't think that's necessary. I have some comments to make in perhaps a closing, and maybe I want to recall a couple witnesses that I thought testified, for example, about parking and conformance to law and things. Do you want me to?
So yeah, why don't we move into your rebuttal portion of your case?
So a rebuttal, Mr. Pillsley and Mr. Postow, Kathy, maybe the three of you can comment about parking. It's not, the garage is not totally underground, is it?
No, it's not. The back half of it is.
So it's partially underground. It's half of it's at street
Over
level.
50% of it is,
Yeah,
you know,
over 50% at grade, more or
Yeah.
less.
close to.
Okay. A lot of this is gonna be argument, I think. Oh, Mr. Postow, there was a reference by the opposition that you were engaged in some nefarious, quote, secret, unquote, PB you got approved back in 2002. Was there anything secretive about
No,
that?
there was no secret. It was public record. There was a covenant that was placed of record, basically binding all the property to the PUD. We followed the PUD.
How many buildings have you built to date in conformance with that non-secret PD that was approved in 2002?
At least 5 or 6.
Would the Palisades be one of those?
Yes,
That's one example. Nothing secret about it, was there?
no secrets.
And nothing secret about what you're doing today, is there?
No.
Is the building you were building today in conformance with the approved PUD in 2002 and the approved final development plan in August of 2025?
Yes,
Yeah, I'll leave that for argument.
Mr. Koenig, I think Mr. Gaither had some plenty of questions about.
The views, yes, I see the views were disturbed.
Whether views will be impacted.
Yes,
The fragility of the hill and whether this is modest excavation are my notes.
Around the definition of modest, we're tossing words around. So what does that mean? What does modest excavation mean? What does acceptable mean? I mean, to me, that means minimum. So I would, yeah,
Mr. Munz,
those are concerning,
Montel, would
those
you
are
like-
concerning use of words to me.
Thank you.
I think those are words that were in the zoning planner examination report. I'm sorry, the modest excavation. Yeah, Emily,
I mean,
I thought you did already.
I just completed a line temporary shoring for 50 feet.
50 feet is not modest,
No.
but 3.5 feet is modest.
Yes, and I think the other thing to note is that the way that the development is proposed, it's trying to minimize total excavation. Yes, if you look at it just from like face on, it'll have this excavation, but we're benching it so that it's not just like one 22-foot cut. It's actually an 11-foot cut, and then there's a piece of land that's not even gonna get affected at all, and then it's gonna be an additional 12-foot cut. So really you have two separate cuts around 12 feet, which are pretty standard, especially in even just like residential construction.
So
And then the,
using the word pretty, which is, I mean, again, is.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, there's no number within the requirements, right? At the end of the day, the requirements are solely in place to make sure it's performed properly. And we're going to be doing that.
with minimum excavation. So is it your testimony, Emily, that this proposed project is designed to minimize excavation for the foundations, the parking, the access drives, and the walls?
Yes. Alternatively, you're going to have to build on top of this hillside, which is going to cause further instability. You're gonna have to add fill, then the building is gonna be higher. I mean, in order to get what we're proposing to get in, this is as minimum of an excavation as you can perform.
Well, the building won't be higher, right? Because it's capped at 679.
That's correct.
Yeah, the building.
Yes, I'm just saying, to minimize excavation, you're talking about building on a hillside, which actually from a stability standpoint isn't better.
Will you address the fragility of the hillside that Mr. Sturkey mentioned and perhaps the witness?
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati, our bedrock is shale, which is ultimately just a really stiff clay. You expose that to weathering, it turns into clay very easily, which is why we're so prone to hillside instability.
Right.
Like-
Will this project increase hillside fragility or improve the upslope and downslope properties stability?
The retaining wall, and as well as the retaining wall that's proposed, I call a retaining wall anything that's retaining soil. So the back of the garage is considered a retaining wall in my mind. Both of those retaining walls will be founded on drill piers, and they will have enough reinforcement within them to withstand any hillside movement. What we're doing is basically bolstering the toe of this slope so that there is not movement. We are increasing the stability of everything above.
And it's tied into bedrock.
Yes, as well as below, because we're not adding weight to the hillside because we are extending everything to bedrock.
What does basically mean there? When you say basic, we're basically doing it. What does that mean?
I don't know when I
You
said
said
basically.
Basically tying into.
We are tying everything into bedrock. We are stabilizing the hillside.
Any further questions about that?
No, I just wanted to sort of direct you back to that to make
Yeah,
sure
that's
your
good. I
response-
think somebody also talked about views, and I thought our testimony was pretty clear that we're not negatively impacting views. We're certainly not blocking views. Whether or not you can see it, I don't know for sure, but that is not really germane today because we have an approved final development plan.
To be clear for anyone, any of the witnesses on the panel here, do you believe that this will impact any views from public viewing area?
No.
areas
The
anywhere?
testimony's been clear, no. Absolutely not. And the hearing exam, or the zoning plan examiner says that.
Do you believe that it'll impact views or obstruct views from any private properties?
No. Definitely won't obstruct. Greg, will it impact views, or Kathy, do you know?
We've already gone through those studies many times.
We did a study for the uphill house, and we clearly demonstrated to the planning commission that we're well below.
Well, we
that
didn't,
house and their view.
Greg wanted to bring it up, but I didn't want to bring it up.
Right,
We went to the Mount Adams Civic Association how many times?
couple times. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had a couple, one public hearing, civic association a couple
And then
times,
we had a
staff review.
staff review in July, and then we had the.
There's been a lot of
in August.
opportunity to review this.
I appreciate that that's a proof. What is the uphill house? What is that?
He's referring to a home formerly owned by Lynn Gordon. I don't know the address, the big.
Yeah, what is that address? It's on, yeah,
915.
I'm sorry, I can't remember, but there's one with a round
950.
Lynn Gordon's house.
Liz Gordon's old house.
So he's the cursor.
Right there, where that house right there.
The white one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did view studies from there and went over that.
Did you do, and again, I mean, again, I get that it's approved. Did you do view studies in 909? Right?
Is 909?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Is that where you live?
No, but that is uphill from Gordon's house.
It's at a higher elevation.
Yeah.
No, it's the same elevation.
It actually runs down behind this new project.
So, you're saying that 909 is a higher elevation than the subject property?
Yes.
And there are no view studies to determine whether this project will impact the views of 909, is that correct?
Greg, can you address this issue?
Right, so if it is at the same elevation or higher, or even a foot lower, let's presume, we don't know yet, we didn't do a survey of that property. But it would be higher than our house. We would not impact its view. Same circumstance as the Gordon house.
Anything else?
By the way, I just wanted to point out that's all documented in our drawings that we were submitted to you, even though this is a hearing for hillside, retaining wall and excavation. We did include that drawing just for reference. So that's why we probably weren't prepared to, tell you exact information, but you can look on that drawing and it demonstrates the location of the 915 Riverview Place, which is the Gordon House, and our proposed development. And you can clearly see that we will not be, obviously they'll look down on the roof of it, but it's not blocking their view.
Are all the elevations in that plan accurate? So the
Yes,
elevation is 950.
right. So for 915 Riverview Place, we actually did a record request with the city of Cincinnati. We got the original documents that they built off of. So we have exact sea level elevations.
700 is the exact.
I have the exact elevations on here. They're just too small to read. I'm sorry.
If it's on, it's 700. If that's
that sounds about right.
And so that, just for the record, that's accurate.
Our drawings are accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Gaither, again, letting us go a little bit outside.
I apologize.
Procedure, but is there anything else?
Thank you for the.
Presume that you'd be willing to have Mr. Gaither answer questions outside of this as well. But okay, I'm going to move back to rebuttal.
Well,
you'd like to say?
Yeah, just to clarify one other point, I made a note. I think Mr. Vogel said there was not evidence that this is not economically viable without parking. I thought our evidence was pretty clear, but just to make sure of that, Kathy, is this project economically viable without the parking that's in the plan?
No.
Charlie,
No.
Mr. Postal, same question.
No.
Okay, I'm done with that.
To be,
We're
just
ready to do
to be
it.
clear, it's the plan presented is not viable without parking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Any part.
Yeah.
Kathy would say any plan up there in Mount Adams, you have to have parking.
Some sort
I'm
of
ready
no
to-
parking on the streets.
We're ready to do closing argument.
Let's go ahead and move into closing. I understand the economic viability arguments from both sides, or what both sides are trying to articulate there.
Okay, in closing, let me just say that this is a good case because we have both the law and the facts on our side. All we are required to do today is demonstrate that we are entitled to hillside overlay development permission. We have submitted Civil Engineering Solutions copious report. They did studies. They made recommendations. Mr. Postel has indicated that he will comply with their recommendations. They will be on site anytime earth is going to be disturbed in any way, shape, or form, just like they have on all the other projects that they've worked with Mr. Postel on Oregon Street. And that's all we have to demonstrate. And I believe we've done that. But most importantly, I think zoning plan examiner Monzel, as I said at the beginning, has written an excellent staff report, and we're willing to fully comply with all of his recommendations. So simply, we're asking you, Mr. Sturkey, as the zoning hearing examiner, to adopt and approve the report and recommendation of the zoning plan examiner, Mr. Monzel. I think the evidence is pretty overwhelming. I'm a little confused why the Civic Association's representative only refers to Mr. Tilsley's report as being evidence. We respectfully submit that Civil Solutions lengthy exhibit is evidence, and Ms. Richardson's first time testifying in a zoning hearing is competent, credible, persuasive testimony. I think she did a very good job for her first time testifying at a public hearing. And I would add to that the Civic Association claims to oppose our application, but they've submitted zero evidence. They did not bring in a geotechnical engineer. They did not bring in an engineer. They did not bring in an architect. There is zero evidence to support the Civic Association's claims that we're not conforming to applicable law. We are following all the legal requirements of the 2002 PUD and the 2025 FDP. That's the 2002 planned unit development and the 2025 final development plan, which was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission. And that's really all we have. We just ask you to accept Mr. Munzel's report and adopt it. And we deeply appreciate your time and attention to this case today. And we appreciate all the comments from all the witnesses and all the opposition. And I guarantee you that Mr. Postel will continue to do a top-notch job. It'll be the best development in the city of Cincinnati in a long time, just as the Palisades was when it was developed and all those townhomes that he developed on Oregon Street. It's been extremely successful. Mr. Tilsley's been involved in a lot of those. Ms. Commissar has been involved in a lot of those. Civil Solutions been involved in a lot of them. I've been privileged to represent him, and the city's lucky to have a developer like him, quite frankly. We rest our case.
Okay, great. I think we will leave it at that. I want to thank everyone again for their time and their testimony here today and their arguments. I have a lot of evidence and testimony to review, so I'm going to take this under advisement. When I do issue a final decision on this case, it will be in writing, in the form of a PDF. I will issue that to everyone, really just moments after it's complete. Is there anyone that would prefer a decision sent ordinary mail as opposed to an email? Okay. You will be receiving that decision from me via email. I mentioned at the beginning, this typically takes about 2 weeks. I'll do everything I can to get that to you all as soon as possible. I think just again, based on the volume and the length of the hearing, the amount of evidence that it may extend past 2 weeks, but if you would like a status update on that decision, feel free to reach out to me directly and I'll let you know where I'm at timing. Otherwise, my last comment is just that I can no longer take in any more evidence. So oftentimes in hearings like this, folks will think of something that they wish they would have said or they forgot to say. Unfortunately, I can no longer take in any of that information. So if I receive any communications from anyone trying to submit evidence, I will not consider them or respond to them. But if you have anything procedurally in terms of a question or inquiry, please feel free to reach out to me and I will address those. Any questions right now before we leave that I can answer? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. You'll be hearing from me shortly.
Thank you.